And hello, Brenda's back. This is my new catchphrase, Brenda's back. And it's wonderful to have you here again on the online summit, the power of women making a difference. And we've got an amazing lady here today. She's just got so much in her treasure chest. I don't know what she calls it, but I'm calling it a treasure chest. We can ask her in a moment. But I'm so blessed and honoured to be having this conversation so that you can learn more about Sue Ritchie and her work. So good evening, Sue.
Good evening, Brenda. It's delightful to be here.
I know you've had a full-on day, haven't you?
I have indeed, yes. It's full of challenges on a daily basis at the moment. But you know what? I'm laughing.
That's it. You just got to keep smiling. That's what I say, absolutely. And, we switched your time because I had forgot something, so it was my fault. Anyway, so we've made it 5 o'clock and it's better. But let's just say there's silence in your house now.
There is. It's peaceful and wonderful. Yes, after all the hive of activity that's building work that's been going on. But you know what? It's going to be worth it when it's finished.
It will be. So listen, rather than me do it, there's nobody can introduce who you are better than yourself. So tell us who you are, a little bit about what you do, and then we'll let the conversation flow from there.
Okay, all right. So as Brenda said, I'm Sue Ritchie, and what I do is, and I'm very passionate about this, is I help women who are stressed out. So business women, professional women who are stressed out, who are literally, busting a gut, living life at 99 miles an hour, to really stop, rebalance, refocus, and revitalize, but also, continuing to boost their success as well, but living life in a totally different way, and a way that actually is more aligned with who they really are, and choosing to live a life that actually suits them and it's what they want. Because so many of us, and this has been my my history, if you like, and why I'm at where I am now, is that too many of us, and I think particularly women, but it also applies to men as well, we live our lives based on someone else's terms rather than what we actually want.
Mm-hmm.
And
reality... actually, sorry to just stop, but it brings us nicely into the next bit, so I'm just going to let you continue. It's really why you're doing what you're doing, so I think we should just continue with this and let's find out what's brought you to be this passionate about what you're doing.
Right, okay. Well, it's I suppose it's what I sort of call my sort of personal master success story, but my sort of life and my history, if you like, is one of having a corporate marketing career, working hard, working long hours, working all the hours God sends, looking after everybody else, stressed all the time, probably not sleeping very well, having, health issues, but, just sort of keeping on that treadmill. But, the biggest thing was that I never took care of myself.
Mm.
And it's only sort of basically, sort of cut a long story short, what happened was that that sort of lifestyle, if you like, came to a big a big head or a big stop because sort of 9 years ago I suddenly started feeling incredibly tired, and I had all sorts of issues like brain fog. I had terrible memory problems. There were times when I literally thought I was, going barking mad. Am I going mental? And, and I had pains in my joints and things like sort of recurrent cystitis. And eventually I was diagnosed with having Hashimoto's disease, which is, for those who don't know, it's an autoimmune disease that affects your thyroid gland. But the big thing for me was that I've sort of always been interested in health and nutrition. And so when I was sort of sitting there in my doctor's surgery, I sort of went, oh, okay, so I can get my immune system back on track, only to be hit with this like blast of, of almost like, you know, anger from the doctor saying,
Really?
that's impossible, you're going to be on the medication for the rest of your life. And it was like, whoa. It was like being hit by you know, a tidal wave in a tsunami, really, and then the way it sort of impacted me. And I think, you know, it was like, okay. And I think all the sort of thoughts that went through my head were, oh my God, okay, so I like being active, I want to go traveling, you know, do more traveling in the world, and, you know, hopefully, you know, I'll have some grandchildren, I'd love to be chasing them around the garden or chasing them on the beach. And it was like, okay, so it sounds like that I'm going to feel as awful and crappy as I do on that day for another 30 years of my life, maybe. And that was like, sorry, that's not acceptable to me. I just couldn't imagine living like that. It just wouldn't be life for me. So, you know, I guess really I sort of, on that day, I sort of walked out of the doctor's surgery with a prescription in one hand, and in the other hand, the determination to do everything I could to get well again, which is exactly what I did. Found out what the root cause was, got it fixed, and then within sort of 3 months, I had my energy back, and was able to come off the, you know, reduce the medication, and came off it totally within 18 months, and I've been, you know, free and recovered, if you like, for the last 5-6 years now. So
I know, because it's quite amazing, you know. Actually, this is going to be a nice little analogy, you know. So you go to a doctor, and this is the way we've been brought up and conditioned, because there was a time not that long ago, 100 years ago, 150. Well, I know my grandmother died because she cut her finger on a knife because they didn't have penicillin.
Yeah,
you know, at the turn of into the 20th century. So we don't need to go back hundreds of years, when we didn't have medicine and folk were just dying all the time, you know, because of the ill health, the conditions and all of that. And then lo and behold, all the medicine came, and all the cures, and all these things that stopped us getting ill and dying, that kept us alive. And I think we got in the mid 20th century, we just accepted, okay, I'm feeling like this today, I'm going to the doctor. And you weren't expecting to get a prescription. Doctor make me better, because we were brought up with the mindset that every pill cured everything, because we didn't know better, or there'd be a very few people who did know better. And then you would have the old wives' tales that nobody wanted to listen to, that they're now scientifically proven are right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I just love it. I love it. I love it that they've got to wait till we get to this point in time when we've got the science to say, see what you thought about 60 years ago. You were exactly right, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the arthritis and the pains in the knees when the weather's damp, you know.
Yeah.
So we became, you know, we had that limiting belief that we get sick and we get a pill and we're better. Whereas nowadays we know that we can do so much more because of our energy, because of the knowledge we've got around food and nutrition and exercise and all these things, so that we can create a far healthier lifestyle to compensate for all the other things that we've progressed onto. But it's the same when people, you know, if you think of clients that come to us, they come to us, and sometimes people think coaches are saviours. Well, we're not really a saviour, are we? No, we're not at all. We're just trying to get people to stop, breathe, and start looking inside themselves and finding the answers to that. So on your journey thus far, we'll park that, we're going to come back to that, but on your journey thus far, what gifts and talents have you uncovered?
I think it's been an incredibly interesting journey, because you know, I suppose where I've come to and what I truly believe in, and it's how I work with clients, is that in order to address issues that we have to take a holistic approach. this is not just a physical problem with health, it's an emotional problem, it's a spiritual problem, it's a mental problem, if you like, and you've got to work on the totality. And I suppose my real sort of learning is that, and I really believe it is, you have to get to the root cause of the problem, and that's what I help people to do. But also, you know, the other thing is everything is about energy, and I think a lot of people don't tie up that, you know, if you're not looking after yourself and you're not taking care of yourself, and if you're, you know, you're running your own business, or even, you know, if you're in a professional job, it's your energy and how that energy is picked up by other people that is actually the thing that is most powerful. So when you change that, your energy from being sort of negative to positive, it's it's sort of like a magic thing starts to happen, and things start to shift in your life, when actually, you know, yes, it can be difficult to make that change from being in the negative to positive. I'm not saying it's always easy, but it's a simple process in a way. But you know, it's just so powerful.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I don't know about you, but when I was at school and they mentioned physics and energy, you're like, oh my god. And this is tells you the era I was brought up in. Well, physics is for boys, you know, so I don't even need to open my mind or even try to understand. It was like, you know, because I just wasn't interested. I don't know about you, but now that we've got all this magic going on around energy and the books that I'm reading, it's like, wow, it's fascinating. But do you know what's even more magical? I understand it. I don't know why.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the incredible thing is that, you know, some of the sort of, you know, more woo-woo things, if you like, around there are now being proven to be true by science, which is
exactly
amazing. And as you say, you know, it connects back to the old wives' tale things as well. That you know, we come back to that.
Yeah. So why would somebody come and work with you, Sue? What is it you help them with?
What I suppose people would come to work with me because they're going to be in a place in their life where they're almost at that point, if you like, where they're realizing that actually this life isn't serving them. It's not what they really want. They're really, you know, unfulfilled. They've probably got some health issues going on. And I think there's going to be that situation, and certainly it was like that for me, was that somewhere inside there's that little voice, which is our real self, which is niggling away. And the problem is, when we're so busy all the time and we don't get quiet, we're not listening and we don't hear this little voice. So somehow it sort of creeps in, but we're trying to ignore it and not let it, you know, let it actually get to us. But I also think it's because, you know, people feel that, and it's something that I learned, was that I was very much governed by what other people might think. So if I made a decision to make changes in my life, it was like, oh, what's so-and-so going to think? What's my husband going to think? What's my mum going to think? What's my friends going to think?
Yeah.
And what I learned was, and you know, to put it bluntly, what they think is totally irrelevant. And the assumptions that you make in your head of what you think they're going to think is never true.
No, we talk ourselves out of things before we've even tried them, because we think, oh, so and so is going to do that, just like you say, and then the reality is it's not anything like what we played out in our minds.
Yeah, it is, and you know, and it was proven to me in one situation, because when I you know, in order to get myself well, I had to take time out in my business, I had to put in place a really good work-life balance and decide the hours I work and the hours that I would be looking after myself and doing healing and taking care. And my head was going, oh, well, what's my husband going to think? He's going to be really annoyed and disappointed because, you know, maybe I might not be, you know, earning as much money and bringing that in, you know, to the family and stuff like that. And particularly, I think, because I'd always been very independent and been the breadwinner before and looked after myself. So it was like quite a big thing for me to let go of, of that, for sure. But actually, you know what he said to me was that when I actually said to him, I'm going to make this decision and I'm going to actually take more time out and I'm going to shrink the business and stuff like that. And he said, well, why haven't you done it? Why have you waited so long to do this? So, you know, that's the craziness of it. And that's why, you know, we have to put ourselves first and really do what's actually right for us, because life's too short and to not be having, you know, a fun and enjoyable
Absolutely.
life.
If what you're doing is not pleasurable, get out. So I love teaching. I'd want to be a teacher since I was 6. And once I got on this path of personal development and spiritual growth, it got to the point that I knew education was no longer the rosy garden that it once was. It became, I was growing so big and the system itself was so small because it's still wrapped up in the turn of the 20th century. You know, it's still in the 1800s. We're still teaching kids in rows, for God's sake, in schools. Not so much maybe in primary school, but in a secondary school. Kids are coming, they're sitting in rows just the same. And it's like, hello? You know, we've evolved so much since I was like 10, 11, 12, you know. So, yeah, we have to take account of that. But I'm quite interested in you. A lot of things, as you know, with people we work with and just ourselves and our own attitude, everything seems to come down to money, doesn't it? Like you're saying, oh, so I gave up a really well-paid job to earn nothing, you know. And I'm like, oh, in 3 months' time, I'll be earning at least what I'm earning. And in 12 months' time, I'll be doubling what I've been earning. The things we tell ourselves, you know. And this all comes from, I don't know about you, I believe we're kind of in a microwave mentality world. We want everything instant gratification.
Well, instant gratification is, everybody wants it now.
You know, so what about when people say, do this program and you'll be earning £20,000 a week, you know, and you think, well, what do you need to do to get to £20,000 a week? Because somebody's not just going to hand you over that kind of cash if they don't know, like, and trust you, you know. So where do you, and what you were saying about the balance, how do you reconcile this? You know, we have to charge our worth, we have to earn money because we've got a roof over our head and we've got things to do, you know, clothes to buy and presents to give and, you know, just even basics. How do you reconcile that, seeing that you're saying you've streamlined things?
Well, I think the interesting thing is that what I've learned is that because it sort of comes back to this whole energy thing, is that when you actually are doing something that you love and you're really enjoying it, you're really taking good care of yourself, you're giving yourself, you know, really good positive talk every day, is that, you know, because you're in that sort of real alignment, it's amazing what you start to actually attract into your life. And, you know, to get, you know, more spiritual and whatever, is, you know, asking the universe for what you want. And it's a crazy thing that, you know, people think, well, that's you know, that's ludicrous. But the truth is, when you put out there what you want and you ask for it, it's
Yeah,
amazing actually how it gets delivered. It might not always get delivered in the way you might expect it to,
that's true.
but it does come. And I think, you know, also it comes in opportunities. So therefore, again, it's down to you to, you know, see the opportunities and actually, you know, make something of that opportunity. And you have that choice at the end of the day. So you could choose, you know, if the opportunity is given to you, you could choose to go with it or not to go with it. And, you know, at the end of the day, you're creating your future, you're creating your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, you know, so for example, this online summit's an opportunity to get more visible, to get out there. There's 30 ladies, we're all sharing each other. We're going to have different audiences that will see us. And that's an opportunity. And so the cost of that opportunity and what you might get back is coming with all of you to sit and have a 30-minute conversation with me. A doddle for what doors this could open. Absolutely. But even still, it's about getting more confident. It's getting clearer on your message. It's speaking with a confidence and a conviction. And that only comes with practice. The more you say it, you know, because I think all these things, excuse me, in my head. But what you think in your head and what comes out your mouth can be two different things, you know? So
Yeah.
we need these opportunities to keep practicing, keep honing, keep sharpening who we are, what we do, and reminding us and others why we're doing what we're doing, and that is serving other people. So what kind of, did I ask this question? Because we've gone on so much. Did I ask you what? No, I don't think I did. Did I ask you what change happens within your clients?
What happened? The change, interestingly, the changes that happen actually are usually a sudden realization of, oh my God, why didn't I see this before? Why couldn't I see that before? Because once people have had that, you know, that aha moment that, you know, they don't actually need to continue living their life not being in a great place, and really starting to step up, and it's about self-value and self-worth. And, you know, as women, I don't know, it's I think it's a particularly, you know, I know it applies to men, but women in particular, I think we do have this malaise of not really, you know, valuing ourselves enough, and therefore it transpires and we don't take care of ourselves. And for me, my realization was that my, if you like, addiction to busyness of having to be doing all of this stuff, actually what it was, the realization was that I was trying to prove my worth, my
Yes.
self-value,
Oh yes.
to the world. And
Look at me, look at how busy I am, ain't I great? And folk are going, yeah, working like 16 hours a day. Yeah, that's great.
And, you know, you have the, you know, those conversations, and it makes me feel quite uncomfortable now, but you're actually boasting about, you know, and I got up this morning and I did this, and, you know, I went to work, and then I came home, and then I had to go out and go to this dinner here, and I went networking, I did this, and then I had to get the kids from this, that, and the other. You know, aren't I amazing because I've done all this stuff? The real truth of it is you're then absolutely exhausted
And burnt out. But you know,
what's it all for?
do you know,
Why do we have this? It's like you're trying to prove your worth all of the time, and actually, and you want somebody else's approval usually. And in my case, I spent, you know, all of my life trying to get approval from my dad, which I never did. But at the end of the day, I realized, you know what?
you don't need it.
Any person's approval I need is my own.
Exactly, you know, and you're saying let women have that. So if you just look at the history of women, and, you know, so I still do a wee bit of teaching here and there. And if you do, Oh my God, not Death of a Salesman. What's the other one? It's a plane in spectacles. That's what
All
it is.
right, in spectacles,
In
yeah.
spectacles. And even then, you know, so in it was 1912. It was written in 45, and the setting's 12. But women were subservient because women stayed at home and they cooked, and it was shown highlighted a lot when Mrs. Burling after dinner says to her daughter, "Oh, let's retreat in and leave the men to talk politics and business and things." So it was very much women did this and men did the other, and they didn't come together. Now we obviously have moved quite a bit from there, but we've still got quite a way to go. And if you look at us globally, there's still many countries where women are so subservient, and they're just treated as like a possession, and sometimes not very kindly at all, not with any kind of love.
Well, abused basically.
They're abused. There's a lot of that going on just now. So we as enlightened women, this is why it's our purpose and our I don't want to say the word duty, but it's our purpose and our passion to show others that there's a different way. There's a different way, and all you have to do is you don't need to go out there looking for it. You just actually need to sit quietly and start coming within and finding the answers. And you can see that uprising happening all over the world right now.
Yeah.
So out of the chaos, we will get calm. Whether or not it'll be total in my lifetime, I don't know. But it's wonderful once you understand the way of the world and the spirituality and the energy and how Mother Earth cleanses herself, that we're moving into that fifth dimension.
Yeah, we are definitely.
And how do you so I'm really embracing that at the moment, and bringing that into my work. So because when people have that awareness, we enter the fifth dimension.
Yeah, and the reality is that, you know, what I realize about what I'm actually doing with women, or what I really want to be doing, is it's actually waking up women's consciousness, so raising their consciousness, because, you know, as I said, you know, it comes back to again, is that, you know, life isn't supposed to be struggling and difficult and hard and miserable, and yet because we lack self-worth and self-value, which is what I realized, is the reality is we're punishing ourselves by it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Punish ourselves by not eating properly and not taking care of ourselves and looking after our well-being. And we think, you know, we want to do everything for everybody, but unless we show up as the best version of ourselves, and by taking care of ourselves, as I found out, you know, it's not a case of, you know, if you're going to get sick, it's a case of when. And we're always focused on money, you know, our business. We never sort of set any goals or plans for all the other areas of our life. And we sort of think that, you know, we're busy, and we'll do all this stuff and we'll get the money in, and then we're going to enjoy it at some future point.
Instead of enjoying it now.
The truth is, future isn't guaranteed, and, you know, it's a horrible thing to say, but maybe there isn't a future.
That's right. So you've got to make the most of everything right now in this absolute moment. So what 3 amazing, wonderful tips that you totally believe in can you give to those watching around helping them empower themselves, helping women empower themselves? What 3 things do you believe in that can do that for them?
The 3 things that I utterly believe in, and because they were actually the sort of 3 key things that I made big changes in, that actually allowed me and enabled me to really start to change my life around for the better. And, you know, the first one is, you know, take note of what your negative voice or the script or whatever is talking to you, and become aware of what it says to you, and start going, stop, I don't want to hear it, I don't need your opinion, and swapping that round for positive talk. And one of the daily routines that I even still do is every morning and every evening, I tell myself how amazing, how wonderful I am. And if something's happening in the day that I might be feeling a bit uncomfortable with, I'll be going, it's all going to be fine, it's all going to work out, and visualize it, actually, how it's going to come out, how I want the outcome to be. Putting yourself first is an absolute must. It's not selfish. I know a lot of people think it is, but if you're great, you feel great, then everything around you and your relationship with other people, your family, what people can't, it's difficult if you haven't been there to know that shifts happen with other people without you doing anything, just because you've taken care of yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know that you hear that quite a lot, actually. Okay, and a third one?
And the third one is actually, I think, one of the things that I still struggle with sometimes, is we don't ask for help. We think we have to do it all on our own. Otherwise, and I used to believe this, that if I couldn't do everything, I'm a failure.
Yes. Do you know what? There's still I'm holding on to a thread of that limiting belief. So take this, okay, this week in question, take organising this event. This needs a team of people, but guess what? I've done it all myself. Some people have asked to help, I've let them help a bit, but then it might fall away, and instead of me just saying, oh, can you do that again, I feel like, oh, I can't ask them again, oh, they've had enough, so I'll just do it myself.
I think it's huge for women, actually, and it's crazy, because the reality is that actually it's not a weakness, it's not a failure.
No,
it's an absolute strength. And and if it's not in our skill set, give it to somebody whose skill set it is.
Exactly. But one of the things is, I'm one of these annoying people that I'm saying that with love, by the way, but I'm one of these people that can kind of turn my hand to most things, and I think I've been like that. My mother was like that, and my sister was like that. One of my sisters was like that. Well, we were all like that. The women, even my own daughters, they take control and do everything. They can, and it's one of these things. So it's really entrenched in us. I need to kind of get it out my daughter's lives, I think, because I can see me and them, and they do everything themselves, and it's like, oh my God, what is it about the women in my family that attract men that can't do things?
Well, I think that's an interesting one, because you know what? The problem with women, and something I've learned, and it's actually changed my life quite a lot with my relationship with my husband, is, we have this thing, don't we, that we're very intuitive, so why don't they know what we want them to do without saying anything? But actually, it's simple. You just say, I would like you to do this for me, please. And you know what? They do it.
I know. Do you know what? We make roads for our own backs, to use an old idiom, But anyway, it's lovely. So listen, one last question.
Yeah.
This is about the power of women, okay? So I want to know, what is your special power that is the secret to your success?
Gosh, that's an interesting question. What's my special power? My special power is that I am looking to help people find the root cause of what is actually stopping them from becoming they're the amazing woman that they already are, but to actually reach their true potential.
Yeah.
Because I think we're so selfish as women, because there's so many women out there with so many fantastic gifts to share with the world, and you know what, we just hide away and don't share them, and we're robbing other people of actually accessing those gifts.
That's right, and we need to use our gifts because we're giving other people permission to release whatever it is that's entrapping them, and we just need to remember that. And when we put our mind on that focus, it makes it easier for us to do things and takes it off us. Because I think for me, I now just think of everything as I'm serving and loving others to create change. So therefore, why wouldn't I want to serve and love others and create that change? So it makes it easier for me to be brave and be bold, and just like go up to people and say, I'm putting on an online summit. Would you like to talk? You're talking. And do you know what? I've got away with it all my life. I don't know how I get away with things, but I do. And I think it is because I come with love and service. I think that's what it is, to be fair,
Yeah.
So I suppose that's my secret weapon as well. I haven't said anything about that yet. I haven't even answered these questions myself. So I'm glad I'm asking the questions and not answering them. But anyway, so do you have one final word you would like to leave everybody with?
I think it's just, to be honest, it's I would just like to share with everybody that the one thing that you have to do for yourself is to love yourself.
Oh,
because you're worth it. You really are.
And that's so wonderful.
You deserve the best in life. You really do.
Oh, that's so wonderful. So thank you very much. And I can't wait to be sharing our book launch with you on the 23rd of November.
I'm really excited.
So it's so exciting. The book's just come through and, it's 3 weeks on Saturday. Yikes. So I need to get my finger out. And so anybody watching this and they want to come and feel really uplifted, be inspired, have a life-changing experience like all these ladies, they come along because it's an open event, because I just want to share the joy, and everybody will really feel uplifted and with a little skip in their step to take some action. And that's what it's all about. If we don't take action, what's the point? What's the point? So thank you very much. I'm going to go and get something to eat now before I've got one more guest this evening before we can relax. So thank you for coming and giving up your time, and it's been a pleasure. Much love.
Thank you for having me here. I've enjoyed it.